Hey guys, I hope that everybody's doing well. Before we get into the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. I'm seeing something happen that becomes apparent for you. I'm looking at the devil. This was coming through in the pre-shuffle. There may be something that's going on that's become apparent to you where you're like, I need to check that, or I need to like get that under control, or I need to balance that out. And this can be so many things. It can be, let's talk about actually a more obscure reference when it comes to the devil. So it's not just like, oh, I'm overeating or I'm undereating or I need to like stop taking drugs or whatever it is. It can be so many things. All of the things that we are attached to, and especially the things that begin to run our lives. For example, it can be an attachment to a particular identity that we have. It can be an attachment to us attaching like our worth to the jobs that we're doing and the roles that we're playing, where it's like, I'm not going to be good enough unless I'm like working myself to the ground and like I don't have time to take a break. That can all be covered under this. So many different things. Like think about the MC when you think about Capricorn, which the devil does represent Capricorn. This is kind of like our public persona. It's how the world sees us. It's what we think of ourselves and also the work that we're doing. And it can very easily be us getting caught up in like associating ourselves and associating our worth with our work and what we're doing and how effective we are and how good we are at our jobs and stuff like that. And even though there's a sense of doing things and being like, it's important that I do this the right way and I care about the work that I'm doing, when you are like fully and wholly attaching like your worth and whatnot to this identity of yours, you get into a territory where you may start losing sight of things and what is actually important. The thing with the devil too is that it's like our distorted attempt to reach the light, but going about it in a way where we're not actually going to find what we're looking for. So there's always this like lack of satiation with the devil, where something may be satiated in a moment, but it's ultimately going to fall away because of how fleeting it is. And that's what's going to like be able to tell you what plane you're working from. Because the truth, the ultimate truth, is something that is not ever going to fall away. And this can also be, like with the devil too, devil, Saturn, it can be things that are physically for us. It can be like an attachment to your physical body. So much so, and I mean, the thing with attachments is that, like, if you had zero attachments at all, you would be, like, lifted from your body. You're not going to be here. But because of, like, karma and because of the attachments that we have, for the most part, there's a sense of this kind of, like, grounding us, binding us to the earth plane. But yeah, I see the devil as being, like, something is becoming apparent and becoming very very chaotic, or it can be very dysfunctional even that we see. It can be something unhealthy, it can be codependence, can be lots of different things. But something that we feel kind of like a slave to. It's like you wake up sick in the morning and you really don't feel like working out and your body is telling you, hey, I need a break right now, and it's like you're pushing yourself to do that anyway. So there are just, I guess, like different ways that this can be broken down and also looked at, and also different for each of us what this represents. But it can be things that have you acting like even irrationally. And there may also be like a sense of full awareness of this anyway and still be doing those things. Understanding what drives you and what motivates you. And if you think you need to check in about something where, like, something physical or something that is not going to be lasting for you is, like, taking precedence. Kind of like idealizing something that objectively, if you took a step back, you would be like, why am I doing that? But because of some sort of like emotional or psychological attachment, you may be fixating on something. This can be like overworking too. There may be something that you're hopping into from a place of need, almost like a place of desperation. Could feel really into something that you're doing, into someone also. The devil can also like borderline on an obsessive energy. This looks like it's connected with a partnership. Okay, that's where we're going with this. Seeing this reading be centered around partnerships, okay. So yeah, if you're to be beginning with the devil and then have the Page of Wands, this is kind of like obsessively going after something. It's like as soon as you feel that these like feelings arise, it's almost like something kind of takes you over and you're like, I have to like be here and be doing this, and like nothing else is as important as this. And it starts even feeling like it's kind of this invisible lifeline that is controlling your moves and what you're doing. And I'm seeing this be associated with someone. Definitely can be popping up as codependence, obsession, obsessive behavior, fixating. I'm seeing again this come back to you and somebody else. I will say this too, it seems kind of like maybe the beginning of something, and that may be why some of this is so intense. But it feels a little hot. Codependence. Have the devil above the Queen of Cups here. You may feel at odds about this because of the way that you're feeling. I do keep getting the word obsession with the devil. There may be somebody that you it can be even an obsession with a relationship too, or like feeling. It can be like an attachment to that feeling, almost like wanting that rush, but doing it from an emotional standpoint. I'm seeing this be like a purely emotional thing, which then is also going to translate to like a biophysical, psychological attachment, because it's going to be doing things chemically with the body and interacting in that way. But yeah, every time you like do this thing or connect with it, or like this person, whatever this is that's been going on, you may feel kind of like you get a hit from this. Definitely doing something for you. Maybe you're even recognizing like how attached you do feel. Wow. This feels very, very intense. I'm definitely feeling like you probably have a Pluto contact with this person. That's the type of intensity that I'm feeling. Okay, so let's talk about it. When you have a Pluto contact with somebody within your synastry, this can lead to obsession, wanting to like control or be controlled, but to a point where it turns kind of, let me think about, there's a movie that's coming to mind. Fear. The movie Fear. Yes. Yes. Where someone's like, I will do anything not to lose this. I feel so obsessed with you. I feel so obsessed with this relationship. Feeling like this is kind of the be-all, end-all, but this coming from a place where it's out of balance. The thing with this is that It's kind of like putting a partner or a relationship up on a pedestal, and then because that is being elevated in the way that it is, kind of like losing sight of this being just like another person, and also not recognizing that first and foremost, like, you are your own counterpart and soulmate and all of that stuff. But if there's like so much of a leaning into it's this other person, it's not me, I'm gonna find what I'm looking for outside of myself, which is ultimately what this comes down to. If you are framing things in that way, that's what is like exacerbating this continuing, to the point where, like, if you felt like you were going to lose whatever this is, you may start behaving in a way that would seem like even absurd from the outside looking in. And I mean, I guess that's also subjective too. Like, some people may see this as very intense dedication. However, and like maybe also at times you're trying to rationalize this. Anything that like is beginning, especially with the devil, and to also have the Queen of Cups here, it's like something is not right emotionally. Like, it shouldn't be this out of balance. And this is also something where you would be able to tell too, when you have somebody in your life and you're checking in and being like, is my relationship like healthy, or like, are we co-regulating with one another and coexisting with one another, or is this codependent and it's becoming unfeasible in some way, and taking away from an area of my life? You want to ask yourself energetically how you're feeling. Are you like going into withdrawal when you're not with the person, or do you feel like you need to be talking to them constantly, or are you like in this place where you keep thinking about like what's going to happen if you lose this person, and when you lose this person, and feeling like up and down emotionally? Or are you connecting with someone and you feel empowered, you feel like even more encouraged to be like independent, and that you're capable and that you're powerful and confident and able to accomplish what you want? Do you feel at peace? Do you feel tranquil? Do you feel serene? Do you feel like a sense of joy? Are you present in the things that you're connecting with? Or do you feel like you have bonded so much with this thing that's outside of yourself that you feel incomplete without it? Because if you're coming at it from a place where you're like, I need this thing, and I need this to work, and I need this person, and like, what am I going to be without it? It's something, again, to look into. This feels super, super, super intense with the Lovers, and also the Two of Cups here, and the Devil and the Queen of Cups. You want to take your time. Wow. I'm seeing a very interesting turnaround happen here. You may have gotten into a connection with somebody, and like from the beginning it felt magnetizing, and that may have felt very good, like this very strong connection that you have with someone. However, something may have come to fruition where you recognized that there was something that you needed to do for yourself, and even to be like finding the Two of Cups solo, like with you and you, where it's like this. You may have been trying to find something outside of yourself. 1444 on the time. You may have been trying to find something outside of yourself that once you started maneuvering through this process, you had this epiphany where you understood that this thing that you've been looking for outside of yourself all along, you were only ever going to find it within. So it's like, I've been looking for this thing in the wrong place this whole time, thinking that I was going to find it outside of myself. And lo and behold, I'm seeing you get to a point where you're like, I'm going to find the Two of Cups within myself, within my heart, because that's where it is. It's just a matter of accessing it. And then I'm seeing you actually move away from something. So things go from being like very intense with another person to then very intense with like you and yourself. And then I'm seeing you recognize that like you actually don't feel satisfied. Whatever this relationship was, that there was like this obsession within, where before, when you were looking at it from the standpoint of like, oh, I'm going to find that thing outside of myself, you were feeling like you got it with this person. But then as soon as it's like something happened, there was this like epiphany, and it's not being like shown what this was, and I'm getting like this is going to be the variable for each of you. It was like something clicked. It feels almost like a spiritual awakening that one would have, and you realize like, I have the Two of Cups already, I'm not going to find it with this person. And then I'm seeing you actually move on. Because you may have thought before like, oh, obsession means love, and you could have been attributing like the devil and those things, that attachment to love. And then you get to a point where you're like, that's actually not what it is at all. Like, this is actually coming from like trauma and shadow-based things and ego-based things, and it's not actually what love really is. Wow. But I mean, that could have been something that you like grew up seeing, or that you formed attachment wise within you, where when you got into a relationship with this person and you started interacting with them, it kind of like fit this picture of what you thought that it would be, until there was this realization of what was going on internally for you. And then it's like all of a sudden something makes sense. Like, I'm even seeing you getting like snapped out of something, like a trance you may have been feeling you were in. You can still be in a spot too where there's like a lack of conclusion emotionally for you. Yeah, now you're at a point where this is such a big turnaround. Such a big turnaround. For some of you too, I want to say, like, if the energy is reversed, you could have had somebody that was like very needy and maybe controlling with you and trying to tell you like, this is what it's supposed to look like, and like, don't go here, and like, who are you going to be with later, and like wanting to know all of this stuff, maybe to a point of you being like, this doesn't really feel healthy to me anymore. But it would have started in a place where you may have been like very close and very connected with somebody, where you were like, this codependency really got me feeling like it's love, a situation like this, until you got to a point where you were like, this actually isn't what a healthy relationship looks like. Again, like, something may have gotten to the point where it got to be too much, and you were like, why don't I feel okay? Because emotionally it was like you caught on that something wasn't okay, or that something was amiss. But yeah, this could have really been like doing something you felt for your inner child, and even giving you the validation you'd been seeking, of like somebody like wanting you and attaching to you and like needing you so fiercely. And then getting to the point where something kind of culminated or even came to a head, and I'm seeing you realize that this was something very different than initially you had thought that it was. And I'm also seeing you be at a point where you are recognizing that whatever was happening before, when it comes to what you're looking for, it's something alternative to what you were involved with this person. It's kind of like you found what you needed to find within yourself and with yourself. And so I'm seeing that make a lot of things clear for you. And I'm also seeing you get to a point where you're ready to set boundaries with this person, where it had felt it had felt like the opposite before with them, where it was like, boundaries, who needs boundaries? And now I'm seeing you have developed and evolved to a place where you're like, oh, I do have boundaries. It's kind of like you have like separated yourself now. Like there could have even been something going on. It feels like a conjunction that happens, but then a separation. I do strongly get the sense that you would be able to like see a full picture of what's been playing out within your synastry with this person. For those of you that don't know, your synastry is when you take your birth chart and another person's birth chart and you like lay them on top of each other and you see how the planets and the angles are aspecting one another and like where your planets are in that person's house and all of that stuff. So it's like the relationship between these two birth charts that are being laid on top of one another. And it tells you about like feelings and interactions and like archetypal themes that play out within your relationship. I'm seeing something come up from below. Okay. For some of you, when you were with this person and there was like this mutual sense of like obsession even, when you got to a point where you started to develop independently on an emotional level, that may have triggered something within this person. Like you showing a form of independence, even though like if you were in like a healthy relationship, somebody would be like, wow, look at you go, like I'm really here to encourage you and empower you. But this person may have felt very, very triggered by you kind of like coming into your own emotionally, and so they may have felt very very defensive when this popped up, because I'm seeing you be in a place where you're like, now I'm understanding that like I need to develop boundaries for myself, and that like things are changing. Because things are changing for you on an individual level, now that means that this is going to affect your relationship with this person. And I'm seeing you be like, okay, I'm here to set boundaries with this person, and it's like now the outcome that's happening is this person like really turning around and even treating you like kind of cold. It's like the opposite of how they were before, because this person went from being like even obsessive and like you can do no wrong and like I want to be with you all the time, and just this like really codependent, like you guys were so mushed together, and now I'm seeing this person be like very much on the defense because of you developing. It's like them kind of taking this personally, what you're doing as an individual for yourself, and feeling very, very put off by this, which like is not your fault. The way that somebody responds to something, just as the way you respond to something, is on you. The way you respond to something is on you. The way another person responds to something is on them. But yeah, I'm seeing things may have taken like even a 180, you feel, with this person, where they may feel like extremely unhappy with the fact that there's not this like codependency anymore. And even to the point where like they may be doing things or just treating you in a way where you're like, that's not how people that care about each other treat each other. But yeah, this person is feeling very, very guarded. I'm seeing this person start getting like very shut down in the heart space. It's like something psychological that's going on with this person is what this is showing too. I'm getting something about also somebody's Pisces placements. This is coming through. When Pisces is in its shadow, it can be very, very codependent. It can be like even being a martyr in situations, like laying yourself out and throwing yourself out there, and really even like throwing your life away at times. It can be to like save somebody, but in a way that is unhealthy, because it's like love but without boundaries. So it can be not telling people what you're comfortable with and kind of just trying to show up and like disregard yourself and your needs and all of that for the sake of another person, and so they can love you, because it's like seeking this validation and whatnot, and like wanting to be the martyr and this savior. Even it can be like a savior complex and all of that stuff, so much more. However, like as the Pisces energy develops and evolves, it becomes very like gracious and loving, where the loving is not codependent anymore. It becomes like an altruistic type of love, even like an unconditional type of love in like Pisces highest form, while also still maintaining boundaries, but not doing stuff from a shadow space or seeking validation. But yeah, Pisces in its shadow can be like, oh, because I love you, I'll let you treat me however you want to, even if it's like you're being defiled in some way or whatever. And it's like, well, if I love someone, I'm just going to let them do whatever. Which all of us have the capacity to be in that space. So there's potential for you to reconcile with this person. I'm seeing someone feel kind of standoffish about like meeting up, or there may be, it's kind of like you have a relationship and you have some kind of like cold banter going on between the two of you. But then I'm seeing there be potential for you guys to like meet up and talk it out. And be like, this is where I was coming from and this is how I see things, and this person is like, potentially, this is where I was coming from and this is how I'm seeing things. There's something here about dialogue between the two of you, but I'm getting like both of you guys are like, I have a wall here, I have a wall here. So it's funny that you guys are still being like drawn and like gravitating towards one another. This may be like more of a facade, because I think if both of you guys were like legitimately stone cold towards one another, this would not be happening. But like exterior wise, you may be coming off as kind of like cold or aloof, and this person may be too, maybe even with like a little bit of bite to them. But then I'm seeing there be like, oh, deep down underneath, like when we thaw it out, there's a sense of connection here and like wanting to be around one another to talk things out. The desire to meet up and have a conversation with this person and like talk things out would be to clarify things on both of your ends. This is how I'm seeing it. What's also interesting too is that like so far I have not seen like a solid ending to any of this. Like there hasn't been like an initial breakup or anything like that. It's kind of just been this like fluid movement that's been happening with you guys, where it's like at first it's like this, and then it kind of thaws and fades into this energy, and then it moves over here, and it's like you guys are kind of like following each other around and like mirroring one another. So it's like before you're really close, and then like one pulls away, and then another one pushes because of that, and then you guys are being brought back together again. Okay, so there's a choice that needs to be made that's connected with this. It seems like whether or not you want to dig up the past again with this person. Wow, all of the readings this week have been about past relationships. Yeah, is this something that you want to revisit? Because it's definitely on the table. Like, if you want to meet up with this person, I'm seeing this person definitely be in a space where they're willing and open to even given everything that's happened. Wow. It seems like the motivation for this is to find out like whether or not you're going to find something that you want or that you need. within the relationship with this person? Like, can I still have boundaries and be showing up for myself and like still get something from this relationship? Like, is there still a purpose for me to be connected with this person? I feel like I'm watching a soap opera here. You may have felt really... Okay, so at least one of you, maybe both of you, feel like very, very hurt. I get this as being like a misinterpretation, again, coming back into this energy where like one of the parties may have in the past like never really set boundaries, and then the party stepped into a place, let's say this is you stepped into a place where you were like, so I'm learning about boundaries and now I recognize like there's stuff happening in this relationship where like I need to set boundaries for myself in order for me to be like in my integrity within this situation. And like that may have felt, this person may have perceived that as being like a slight towards them or very hurtful towards them, and so they reacted to the situation. But it seems like talking it out is going to help you figure out what needs to be figured out, because I'm seeing both of you guys potentially be open here to like working together and seeing where things go and see if you can bring a sense of balance to it and also be showing up for yourself the way that you need to be. Wow. Yeah, it's gonna help you. Okay, regardless of what ends up happening between the two of you and whether or not you decide to like be together or to try things or be in each other's lives, whatever, this is going to help you with your healing process, because I'm seeing there still be pain, unresolved stuff in the heart chakra that's associated with this, that by you having a conversation at least with this person, it's going to help with your healing process and probably also this person's healing process, even if you guys leave it at that. But for some of you, you may actually be considering like being in each other's lives again. But either way, it seems like at the very least, there is going to be some element of catharsis through this experience with this person, and it has all like culminated to the breakdown of you guys like meeting up or having a conversation with one another, like coming back together in some way. And there's still a sense of there being like an underlying connection between the two of you, and definitely still some sort of like commonality even. There's still some like deep, intense feelings here also that I'm picking up on. I'm seeing that the worry is that it's going to kind of turn into the same thing that it had been for and be a repeat. So you want to be checking in with yourself and be like, sometimes it can be very, very difficult, like when we first come into contact with somebody, because you're so like overwhelmed with all of those feelings of like love being on full blast or like connection being on full blast, that it can be difficult to figure out like what's going to be lasting and what's like a more fleeting aspect of the experience that you're having. You want to take things slowly and continuously be checking in and not ignore red flags. Because all of this is about truly asking yourself at the end of the day, like, are you like feeding into the Maya or the illusion of this relationship of codependency and it's not really love? Or can like something really be developed that's healthy within this relationship that you have with this person? And can it really be something that would be like satiating or worth it to you in some way? And figuring that out. As I said, at the very least, I'm seeing this is going to be a somewhat cathartic experience for the two of you, where it may actually kind of like soften your perspective of this person and maybe even the events that took place within your relationship with them. Potential for a softening. I'm looking at Capricorn, the Sun, and Gemini. Remember, we all have those. We all have Capricorn, Gemini, and the Sun in our birth charts. Okay, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.